Welcome to Religion versus Science. Today's question is one of the most debated issues in modern society. Is being transgender acceptable or is it not acceptable? Around the world, people disagree strongly on this issue. Some view transgender identity as a legitimate expression of human diversity. Others believe it's conflict with religious teaching about male and female. This discussion affects families, churches, schools, governments, and millions of individuals who are trying to understand themselves and others. Our goal today is not to attack anyone, it is to understand the arguments on both sides and think critically about what religion, science, and human experience have to say about this matter. Good evening.
Good
I am
evening.
your host. Good evening. I'm your host, Mr. Curious. I have my co-host here with me, Mr. X. How you doing today?
I am well, sir. Doing well. Outside,
Oh,
enjoying the weather here in the patio. As you can hear the birds and stuff.
hear the birds. Okay. All right. Everything seems like all is well.
Yep.
Okay. Are you ready to go to work?
Yes, sir.
We have a very interesting and sensitive to some subject on today. Is transgender acceptable or is it unacceptable? We're going to look at it. We're going to talk about two different views, the religious side and what the science has to say about people becoming transgender. I think it's important for us tonight to get started. As we get started tonight, discussing this sensitive matter and this sensitive subject, what does transgender mean? What does it mean? A transgender person is someone whose gender identity differs from the sex that they were assigned at birth. In other words, a person born biologically male may identify as female. A person born biologically female may identify as male. So we have Mr. X on with us tonight as we dive into this very, very, very sensitive subject. We're not here to offend anyone, but we're gonna follow the facts where they may lead us on this show. Wherever the facts will lead us, that's what we will follow. So, Mr. X, the religious view that says it is not acceptable for a person to be born with a sex and they change it to another. What does science say? From the scientific approach, religion said no. What's the scientific approach to this?
Well, science says you can't change your gender. That's impossible.
Even after surgery?
After surgery, that's not changing your gender. That's altering yourself surgically to look like the opposite sex, but you're still the gender you were born.
Okay, so where does science and religion differ on this, or they both agree? Where do they differ? What's the difference between science and religion? We start talking about someone being transgender.
Well, um, but I don't know if there's a difference or it's an agreed point from both sides. I do know that Yes, religion, science says that whatever sex you were born, that's the sex you are. You know, you can't change that. That's at the cellular level. You know, now you can grow into whatever adolescence or adulthood and feels that you were meant to be the other sex. Fine, that's just a feeling. But just because you have a feeling doesn't make it correct. It's just a feeling, and and we have to understand that we all go through changes growing up, and sometimes we don't get the right answers for the biological changes that are going on in our bodies that make us feel odd and whatnot. Feeling odd and out of place is all part of adolescence growth. You know, you're uncoordinated. A lot of times you're not good in social settings. You know, some folks will tell you, hey, I was just nerdy and growing up and whatnot. I had to grow into myself. But some folks, people could take that as saying that I'm in the wrong body. You know, that's just you giving yourself a lot of miscues on your biological changes that are happening inside you as you grow into adolescence. All of us go through that. You have weird and funny feelings and stuff. Doesn't mean I want to be a female or the vice versa, the female, but that's she or he.
So have we figured this thing out yet? As in, a lot of times when we see people that would like to, males that want to be females and females who want to act like dudes, you know,
That's
is it some type of behavior? Is it
that's a learned behavior.
scientific?
Yes, it's a learned behavior. It's copied. And
So
you can mimic or think you're mimicking the opposite sex. A lot of time it's over exaggerated for the people who are doing it. You know, from guys' point of perspective, there are guys out there with all these mannerisms claiming that they're females, and real actual females don't do that. Don't act like that. They over exaggerate your movements, your speech patterns. So that doesn't change a thing. You just parroting. You're not. You're not. You will never be the opposite sex. And then here's what's so funny. So folks will say, "Well, I feel like a female." This is a male speaking, or females that feel like a male. Well, if you're born of a male, how could you feel what a female feels? You've never been a female, so you don't know how a female feels.
okay,
And vice versa. A female being born a female, she says, "I feel like a male." Not true. How can you feel like a male? You've never been a male, so how can you feel like that you are a male? That's like myself. Or here's a funny one. I wanna be trans species, and I wake up one day and say, "I feel like a dog or a cat." No, I don't, because I don't know how a dog or a cat feels. Never will. Never have, and I never will be. Never will, because I'm not a dog or a cat. I don't know how I can mimic their actions and stuff. Growl or meow, scratch and roll over, and do all those things. And if I'm out there enough, start eating Alpo and kitty chow. But still, I'm still, my species are still Homo sapien,
okay.
a human. That will never change. I could pretend. I saw a program years ago on television. It was called Believe It or Not. And this guy, over a period of time, surgically had himself transformed to looking like a something of the feline species. He had whiskers implanted, um, uh, contacts. It looks like a feline. Had his teeth surgically altered, like fangs and what have you.
Hmm.
Fingernails sharpened to look like claws. Yeah, and yeah, he did look like a cat-like being, but
Right.
he's still not a cat, because
Okay.
I guarantee you, if I had to put him out into the wilderness at night to operate out there, or for a few nights, he'd be begging to come back home, because the minute he meets other wild beasts
Hmm.
that really have real fangs,
Okay.
um, really have real claws,
Okay.
and see him as nothing but food, he would
Okay.
change his he would change his tone really quickly. He wouldn't be able to live among those creatures in that environment, even though he looks like a cat. But yeah, now a real cat, yes, he can make it out there in the world. His vision is keen at night, hearing is keen. He's fast, agile. He has claws to protect himself, fangs, and he has and his hot, and his skin is different. He can take hits from, say, even if he encounters like a fox or something trying to eat him, he can fight off a fox or what have you, or even a bobcat. That guy, on the other hand, he can't do that. You know, so
Okay.
when reality sets in, he would come right back to being what he is, a human being. He wouldn't last. So I could feel like I'm a bear, and
So
and
let
get
me.
and get surgically altered to look like a bear. You know,
Okay.
and then I would wake up real soon the minute I go out there into the woods and meet a real grizzly or brown bear. Right, reality will then set in and tell me you're not a bear.
Right.
So you can feel all you want, but you'll never be that. You can mimic.
So
No,
let me. Okay. So let me ask you a question then. Is this type of behavior when a woman desires to be a man and a man desires to be a woman, is this normal behavior
no,
or is abnormal?
it's a sign of mental instability.
Mental. So you think it's in the mind?
Yeah, and
Okay.
just because nowadays in certain societies it's considered normal doesn't make it natural.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the norm to see that type of stuff in Western society, but it's still not natural. Now, in other societies around the world, it's not. In some other societies where there's very strict laws and stuff as far as religion or culturally, this type of stuff is not accepted.
So
But
in your home, your native land, Barbados, West Indies, is it acceptable?
no,
It's not.
no, it's
So
there.
what
It's there,
is that?
but yes, but not acceptable. No,
Does the government accept it?
they tolerate it.
They tolerate it?
Yeah,
Are they similar to our government that we
in a way, yes.
allow
Yeah.
them to have the surgery and
Well, they're something like that would be very expensive. So I would assume people who want to do that, they travel overseas to have it done. But that's about the gist of it. But still not accept. It's not accepted.
okay,
It's tolerated, not accepted.
okay. Africa is it acceptable
On certain parts, like
continent?
say, not continent wide. No, for the most part, places like South Africa, where there's a large European population, it's accepted there. But in other countries, neighboring countries and stuff, for the most part, it's not. It's outlawed, and there's serious penalties behind it.
Okay.
Uganda, name a few: Uganda, Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali, Ghana, stuff like Ethiopia, Kenya, stuff like that. It's not accepted. No, that's just a few. There's 54 countries in Africa. The only major one where that's really accepted is South Africa.
Okay.
You know, the north, Algeria, where it's mostly the Arab population. Algeria, Morocco, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt. Absolutely not.
Okay.
Then on the Asian continent, Southwest Asia, the Arabian Peninsula stuff, definitely not. Part, Indonesia, but no. China, not.
So does
Japan, maybe, but it depends on but most countries, no. And if they're westernized, you'll see that because, that was something that was born in European culture. That was never part of indigenous non-European culture. Aboriginal people, wherever you go around the world, in their natural state, that was never a practice part of their culture. Nowhere. It's only a European phenomena.
So why is it so prevalent here in the United States of America?
But this is a European founded nation.
Okay.
Just like Canada. Like I said, it's
okay.
European founded.
Elaborate on that when you say a European founded nation.
Well, people who came from England, France, and so on. That's who colonized the North America, and then for the southern part of North America, the Spaniards did, which you have Mexico. So they came from in Europe. That type of behavior went on. That was going on since the beginning of their so-called founding fathers, the Greeks. That was very prevalent among the Greeks, and all of Europe holds Greece as their founding fathers. The Greeks. So that was normal among the Greeks. It was normal for men to have a male lover as a counterpart. Women were only there to facilitate childbirth to maintain the population. But for the most part, affectionate-wise, and a better half, as we say, your better half, you had a male counterpart that was very prevalent among the Macedonians and the Greeks, who are the fathers of Western European civilization. That's something that's that came out of their culture. Now you go to the cultures outside of that, no such thing. Africa, Australia, where the Aboriginals lived for over 70,000 years. That the Aboriginal people of the North Sentinel Islands in the Indian Ocean, the peoples here of the North and Central and South America, the original people, what do you want to call them, Amerindians or Native Americans or whatever. There's no such thing. There's always a male and female principle.
Okay.
China, Japan, where no such thing.
Okay. The problem that we have in America, a lot of people, especially the religious side of it, they always would like to treat the transgender folk less than, right? They always would like to treat them less than. They mock them, ridicule them, call them all kind of names. Is that appropriate? Even though
no, you don't need to. You don't need to insult someone. Just let them know that you're not going to accept that behavior. Same thing as if I had a family member who's a heavy drug user, cocaine, whatever, heroin, PCP, whatever, you name it. I don't need to insult them and cuss at them and put them down. Just want to let them know that that kind of activity is not going to be tolerated around me. You can do what you want around you and similar minds that are like yours, but not around me. Can't bring that dope in and getting high and stuff around me. I don't need to insult you. Just be firm and let you know it's not going to be tolerated around me. Same thing goes with that transgender issue. You can do what you want, believe what you want, pretend what you want, but don't expect me to follow you in your folly or co-sign on your folly. Yeah.
Okay. So biology, excuse me, is clear. There are only two sexes.
Only two.
Okay. Only two. But when we look at, does someone, according to the United States Constitution, does they not have a constitutional right to be a transgender? Is it not we talking about the Constitution, founding fathers, the Constitution of the United States of America?
Well,
does they not
as
have
far as that,
right? As
far as that goes, when the Constitution was written, the founding fathers had no concept of this type of issue. even though they were European, and the early origins of this thing started with their ancestors and whatnot. That wasn't something that was out in the open like it is today. So they didn't have to deal with that. So they didn't have to deal with that and write anything about that in the Constitution. Now, in the last century, especially in the 60s and stuff, you had a lot of laws passed that put people like that under protection of certain rights. But they were shoehorned into the Civil Rights Bill. Civil Rights Bill was for Black people only, to remedy the large wealth and economic gap between Black and white, and to create a better economic and a fair system for Blacks in a system that was never fair to them. But that bill, a lot of extra stuff was shoehorned into that bill. It was never about making considering white women minorities. It was never about making homosexuals minorities.
Okay.
That was all shoehorned into that. And those people ended up getting more benefits than what the Civil Rights Bill was geared towards, which are Black people.
Okay.
White women, cross-eyed people, humped up, pigeon-toed people. It wasn't for that. So that's how that got started. It got pigeonholed, shoehorned into the Civil Rights Bills. That's how that started. That was a double cross. It was never supposed to be like that.
So let me ask you then, what is the chromosomes?
The chromosome is a chromosome, XY chromosome. I mean, you have one that makes you a male. You have one that makes you a male, and one that makes you a female.
So that's the reproductive system.
Yes, part of that's all part of the cellular choosing of male and female. You can't change that. Can't be changed with surgery.
That cannot be
changed. That's at the cellular. Yeah, listen, men, the male physiology has denser bones.
Okay.
Has more testosterone, a more denser muscle structure. all right,
Hmm.
has a greater lung capacity. That's what makes males can do the things physically that both females cannot do.
Okay.
That's why you have um, certain criteria for sporting events and what have you. You'll never see Serena Williams go up against men as good as she is as a female player. And she knows that. She said it herself. She probably couldn't beat the 100th ranked male.
What about the women that's playing in uh, college basketball, the
Still,
WNBA?
still, that's the WNBA, not the NBA. Big difference.
I know. So you
Big
saying that the
difference. Big
women,
difference.
the women, the women that's in the WNBA could not play in the NBA?
The floor would be wiped clean. They couldn't even play a basic male college team. They would wipe the floor with them. Look, let me give you an example. They showed the national women's soccer team
Yeah.
play a all boys high school soccer team. They were high
Hmm.
school boys,
Hmm.
and they beat the women's national team easy.
Okay.
And that's just high school. At that point, a boy of 15 or 16, 17 years old is already physically stronger than the average female. He's just a boy.
So let me
Another
okay. Let me
example.
ask you.
Another,
Let me,
another, another example. Another soccer demonstration between males and females, and the males were amputees, missing a leg. They were playing with the aid of walking apparatus still, and they still beat the women. It's just science, man.
so so let me ask you this question then. The Democratic view that they supported men participating in women's sports. Did you agree with that?
That was utter nonsense and unfair to the females who trained and practiced their whole lives to compete in those events just to come up against a male.
Yes.
That's not fair.
Right.
That should have never happened. It's still a male. They have no
Yes.
chance against him.
Right.
That was utter madness. Think about it. You're female. You're training to compete against other females,
Yes.
and then up comes Leroy because he feels he's a girl, and he takes what could have been yours. That's not fair.
Right.
How would I feel if I was training to be an Olympic prospect for the 100-meter sprint, and all of a sudden the Olympic Committee says, you know what, we're going to now allow cheetahs and leopards to run the 100 meters. Now you know
Yep.
what the outcome would be.
Yes.
We would be mad
Yes.
because we know there are no match physically for a cheetah especially a cheetah. A
Yes.
cheetah, a cheetah can go from 0 to like what 60, was it 69 miles an hour, 68 miles, almost 70 miles an hour, like what, under 3 seconds? Come on, man. So that's the same thing. I'm not a, I'm not a, I accept it. I'm fast, but I'm not a cheetah.
So no amount of personal feeling can change chromosome.
Nope.
It cannot.
I feel
Okay.
here, I feel that Anita Baker, Janet Jackson, and Vanessa Bell Calloway and Halle Berry are in love with me. I feel that.
Okay.
Yeah. Reality is they don't know me from Adam. See, that's how you get crazy. That's how you get crazy people like these stalkers stalking celebrities. In their mind, they have some sort of misfire and they've come fixated on these celebrities. And somehow they think, well, what's the guy the other day? What was it? Who was he stalking? Was it Taylor Swift?
Taylor Swift?
Was it Taylor Swift? Was it? But I mean, we've heard of these stories, right?
Okay.
In his mind, he feels she's in love with him,
Okay.
and that's his soulmate. But in reality, we know that he's not well. All right. So you can feel all you want. Nature doesn't care about your feelings.
Okay.
Yeah. So we gotta
All right. So
stop babysitting this foolishness and tell the truth. Nature doesn't care about your feelings.
okay.
I
So
feel I
is it
should. I feel I should live. I feel I should physically live forever. Does nature care?
no?
All right.
Let me ask you another question. Is it true when you heard on the campaign trail, you hear it on the campaign trail, especially running for president, shouldn't nobody tell you and can't nobody tell you who they love? You heard that before.
Mm-hmm.
That's the gateway to for transgender and all that. Do you agree with that?
Now nobody can tell you who to love, but there's going to be certain consequences on who you
Uh-huh.
love.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to deal with the consequence. You can love who you want, you know. Now, and they can choose to love you back or not.
Okay.
In that romantic way, I'm assuming that's what you mean, in a romantic way.
Romantic way, yes.
Yeah, but years ago, a guy ended up in prison because of foolishness like that on television. It was on a
Okay.
TV show called, was an old TV show, talk show called, was it Jenny Craig? And the title of the episode was people who've had secret crushes on other people, and they were bringing them on to introduce them to their secret crush. And there was one guy, he was brought on, and is in the briefing room and stuff. They didn't they let on that it wasn't a male. So he's a straight guy. He's a straight guy now coming on the show, and because of ratings and stuff, they lied to him when he comes on. He found out it's a guy that who's sexually attracted to him. You know that after he was so embarrassed after the show, he killed that guy.
Wow.
And Jenny Craig got in trouble. That's why his show got taken off of television.
Wow.
Yeah, I think the guy's name was the guy that, let's see, one of the guys involved, his name was Scott Amador. Just look it up, Scott Amador on the Jenny Craig show. I can't remember if he was the homosexual guy that liked, or he was the guy that was embarrassed by it and ended up killing the homosexual guy. Yeah.
So
So just because you love somebody that way doesn't mean that they're going to love you back. And unfortunately, in that case, it ended with a person losing their life.
so is someone born that way? That is someone born
No,
with the
no,
tendency that they want to be transgender? Is
no.
someone born that way?
That's something that's learned.
It's learned behavior.
Yeah. Now
It's
I'm gonna
not
give you an
passed down
example.
through genes or
No, Pass on to genes. It's a learned behavior, and also something that's encouraged when kids ask a question and they have weak-minded parents that encourage that mess. 5 and 6 years old, and you tell mom and dad, I feel like a girl. Instead of you putting to the side, no, 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 Timmy, that's not what for you. You're a boy. This is you. When you then encourage that, of course he's not going to grow up and think that, or she's going to grow up thinking that if you encourage that, like their minds are actually mature enough to make that type of decision at 4, 5, 6, 7 years. They're just being curious and being kids.
So if you had a son, Mr. X, if you had a son and he says to you, I want to be a transgender, this is the son that you love, and he said, no matter what you say, Dad, I want to be a transgender, and he go and do whatever, have the surgery or whatever, would you accept it?
No,
Not even your own son?
no.
You disown him?
Yes. See how simple that was?
That's simple.
It wasn't that hard.
But that's still
You
your
see? Listen,
child.
same way if he came and say, I like smoking crack and I'm not going to stop doing it. I like getting high, getting drunk, but I'm your son. I wish you well, but there's the door.
Oh, that's deep. Where's the love? Love covers a multitude of faults.
Love sometimes is hard.
It's hard, yes.
Yeah.
But this is the person that you birthed and you brought into the world. Your son.
Mm-hmm.
And if
But
he
yeah,
says,
but again, his behavior is not in line with who he is naturally. I'm not going to encourage that or co-sign onto that. That's just encouraging that type of nonsense. No.
so do you think politicians get involved with this and they accept this? You think they do it because of votes? Or do they really believe it?
Of course they do. It's all about votes.
It's political.
Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. I'm a cater to this group because this group has a powerful lobby and they can garner me votes and whatnot and money. So yes, I'll put my support behind such things.
Okay, now you know the Supreme Court ruled, they ruled that that people could be transgender in the military,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
They can be transgender
Right.
in the United States military. So
Okay.
that's a constitutional right that they have, right? That was Supreme
Yeah.
Court said. You
Yeah.
cannot violate their constitutional right. I don't
Yeah.
know what amendment it is that gives them the right. Can you tell me the amendment? What constitutional right?
No,
What are the amendments
I
that?
have I have no idea, and I'm not even interested in looking it up. But it is what it is. What it is. You know, like I say, you can pretend and do all. Especially in a organization like the military, you do your job. Doesn't interfere with your job. Fine.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, but we understand though. What we understand is this, Mr. X. We talking to Mr. X here. As the world is turning, we're talking about. We asked the question: is transgender acceptable or not acceptable? But we do understand this one thing: that no matter who they are or whose you are, everybody deserves to be treated with human dignity, compassion, and love. Do they not? Everybody, human dignity, compassion, and love, right? Shall we walk around and say you gonna want to kill or assassinate all this?
No,
No, but they
that's not
deserve to be treated with
that's not
dignity.
That's not necessary. That's
It's
not
not
necessary.
necessary.
No,
So we
no.
living in a society, we have to learn how to be tolerant
Yeah, tolerant of
of
certain things.
people
Yeah, but
that differs from us. They
right,
have a different thought process. Okay, they're
right,
different. No two people are alike. So we have to learn how to be tolerant. Not that we agree with it.
right. See, yeah, big difference there.
Yeah,
Tolerant,
tolerant
tolerant is
is the
totally
word.
different to agreeing. Yeah, you go. Like I say, do what you want. That's on you, but don't expect me to co-sign.
Mhm.
Yeah, same. I'm saying same way with the drunkard, the wino, the meth head, the dope fiend. Hey, you're a human being.
So
You know,
another question is,
not going to accept your not going to accept your abnormal, destructive behavior.
well, another question is, should it become political? We have conservatives, we have liberals, right? And when we have elections, they run the platform on, no one, Democrats, majority of them, no one can tell you who to love. The conservative side saying they don't accept it. If you, especially that's why Democrats are not popular in the South. I mean, it's some, but they have been losing a lot of elections, for the last 20 years or so in the South. Mainly, I
Democrat,
think, yeah.
Demo, a lot of Democrats, they really concentrate on the wrong things, man. They really do.
Okay.
Like the last election, as going back over 50 years, the Democrats, especially, their biggest supporters were the black community, right? They're guaranteed to vote from the black community.
Okay.
But in the end, what did the black community get? Nothing. Everybody else got something from the Democrats except the ones who voted for him.
Okay.
Black people asked them for three things. Three things. Three things. And got nothing.
So, okay, when you said they focus on the wrong thing, so I look at a lot of Democrats. Their platform be centered around this transgender. So should this be a priority?
No.
Because I
What
know,
prioritize what the voters are asking you for. That's what you prioritize. And that's not a priority among the majority of black voters. Black voters ask for three things.
yes.
Police, police reform where there's no more qualified immunity for cops who do illegal stuff, right?
Okay.
Anti hate crime bill for black people and pushed reparations. What did they do? They turned around and gave anti hate crime bill to the Asians.
Okay.
Okay? Only after they're complaining for about 1 year complaining that they were being attacked and assaulted and stuff in the streets, they got an anti hate crime bill. Black people been asking for that for what? How many decades? How many years?
So this should not be on a part of their platform.
No.
That's what you're saying. This
But
transgender issue should not
if
be.
you ask the collective of black constituents, that is not going to be the top of their concerns. They're worried about economic wealth and fairness when it comes to equality and treatment, and how monies are dispersed among certain groups. The Democrats have been using that crap for years and giving black people the runaround, using terms like minorities and people of color and fringe groups or fringe. All those are catchphrases for other groups except black people. So everybody else benefits from that.
Okay, so we have a election coming up. We'll have midterms coming up this year. Got 2020, 28 presidential election coming up. So you're saying that this right here should not be a part of whoever runs for president, become a
No,
candidate.
and
This
because
should not be a part of. This should not
no,
be a part of their platform.
because too that community is so small. That's a small percentage. How is such a small percentage garnishing so much interest? That's what you call benign neglect. Yeah, vote for us, but don't expect anything from us. If they're not careful, the Republicans are going to win again because they're stubborn. They don't listen to the grassroots and what the people on the streets are saying. They're still pushing that same old tired narrative that one tide lifts all boats. You know, when black Americans ask for something specifically for them, the Democrats always want to include somebody else. But when those other groups say, I need this and this and this, they don't include blacks.
Okay. So we
And they
need to.
get they get what they want. There's no study. There are no studies, no think tanks to see if the money is there. They have the money right away.
Hmm. Well, it's going to be interesting. We went with this agenda last time. They went with this agenda the last time. And guess what happened? They lost. This was not popular. Okay.
Just just the other day, a representative from the NAACP was at a open air event, and he was talking about the needs of the people. And the panel that was up there on it with him challenged him when he said, we're here for, I'm paraphrasing, all people. And one of the panelists, a gentleman by the name of Phil Scott, asked him, when you say all these people, who you're including, who you're talking about? And they said, black and brown. When he said that, the crowd almost lost it. You see, it's a mindset like that that's going to get them in a position where they're going to lose the election. Because black and brown is a farce. Collectively, Hispanics in this country see themselves as white. And the Hispanic Congressional Caucus, in their charter, they are only there for Hispanics. But when you look at the CBC, the Congressional Black Caucus, they have African Americans and other groups. Now, why do you need to have other groups? You're African American. You should be just for African Americans. Stop trying to be inclusive and fight for other people, but neglect your own. See, that's the problem. Other groups don't do that.
Okay.
They're for themselves, and they don't make any apologies. He got booed. He had to straighten up and actually make amends because he said black and brown. Folks said there's no black and brown coalition. There's never been a black and brown. Hispanics don't see themselves in a brotherly or sisterly coalition with black people. They never have collectively. So stop saying black and brown. He got a rude awakening at that meeting.
Okay. So, regardless of where you stand, several truths remain important. Every person deserves dignity. Every person deserves respect. Every person deserves honest conversation. Mockery rarely changes minds. Hatred rarely heals wounds. Fear rarely produces understanding. So we should have, as we're having tonight, healthy dialogue as regard to the transgender. Healthy dialogue requires we listen, have humility, compassion, and critical thinking. The transgender debate is not simply about politics. It is about identity, it's about meaning, it's about what it means to be human. Religion and science approach these questions differently. Sometimes they appear to conflict. Sometimes they offer complementary insights. As society continues wrestle with these issues, perhaps the most important challenge is learning how to discuss them without losing our humanity. So once again on tonight, thank you for joining in on this episode of As the World Turning, Religion versus Science. Is transgender acceptable or not? If you found this discussion thought-provoking, leave a comment sharing your perspective respectfully. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Remember, the search for truth is strongest when it is guided by both wisdom and compassion. It's guided by both wisdom and compassion. Okay, until next time, we're going to say good night. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Till next time, good night, everyone.
As we have seen today, the conversation between religion and science isn't as simple as right versus wrong, belief versus proof. It's deeper than that. Can science and religion coexist, or are they always in conflict? Drop your thoughts in the comments.